I've got some more stuff, but it's all in the background, so we can slide over to. Let's get
Well,
to you some stuff here.
let's talk one of the big ones here, I guess, the new Indiana Jones movie, Indiana Jones and
Right.
the Dial of Destiny. Yeah, and this is not him dialing like calling somebody on a rotary phone. This is like
Is that what it is? They're using cell phones now, so he's going to temples and he finds an ancient rotary phone,
yes, that's what
and
it is.
that's that's
And
the thing.
he calls back to his older self and his younger self and is like, yeah, maybe don't make more than just 3 Indiana Jones movies or something. Maybe
Right.
give
Yeah.
himself some good advice there. Um, this movie has been pretty trashed by a lot of people. It's actually done very poorly at the box office. I mean, there's lots of reasons people point to. I can only tell you what my personal experience with it is. Um, I think I think that there might have been a good movie in here somewhere. I feel like that they probably could have done something as a grand send off for the character. Because the last one they did, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, it never felt right. It felt artificial, like through and through. It had some moments in there that stood out where it felt like Indiana Jones from time to time. This movie less so. A lot of stuff, a lot of noise was made about how like the first like 20 minutes, 25 minutes of this movie is all de-aged Harrison Ford, where
Mm,
they basically go back in time and show you him fighting the Nazis again. And but it's like, youngish Indiana Jones. And like I'm gonna say the digital technology has gotten to a point where it's far more believable now. Like the uncanny valley stuff the technology works far better for actors that are still living.
yeah. Right.
Because it's them still. You can still sense it's them, it's their movements and everything. But I have the same problems with this that I did with, I think it was Captain Marvel, when they de-aged Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, where it was clearly a young face, but it was old voice, and it was whenever Sam Jackson had to do an action scene, it seemed like it seemed like an old person moving. It didn't seem like a young person doing it. Like, and this movie has kind of the same issue, although they did a far better job with the action stuff, and that's because they decided to film the entire sequence at nighttime to hide a lot of stuff. And
Classic.
the entire sequence is just one action scene after another. Like, some of it's kind of cool, but it moves at such a rapid pace that it's exhausting. They don't give you any time to breathe. Um, but that aside, like I actually enjoyed that opening scene. I was like, it could have been about 10 minutes shorter, and I would have been happy. Um, but then when they get into the kind of the present day stuff, which I think is like in the '60s, I think is when it takes place. Um, and this is where it gets into how the writers and the directors and all the other people involved in this making, how they decided to treat kind of what has been referred to as a legacy character, kind of like Luke Skywalker and all the other Harrison Ford one, Han Solo, their legacy characters and how they were treated in the most recent Star Wars trilogy. And there seems to be like this idea that, like, it's almost like they want to deconstruct the hero character, basically, where it's like it's like we can't have this character be the hero that he once was. He now has to have regrets. He now has to be, kind of a broken person now. He can't be happy. Kind of, you look back at what they did to Luke Skywalker in The
Hmm.
Last Jedi, and that's exactly what they did to him. Funny thing is, what they did to Harrison Ford, what they did to Indiana Jones, is the exact same thing they did to Han Solo's character. I don't know what it is with Disney, Lucasfilm, and how they feel about Harrison Ford characters, but Han Solo in The Force Awakens, he was married, right? He had a kid. That kid went bad, and it ended up splitting up his marriage, right? And it
Right.
made him a divorced, grumpy old man. And his his wife Leia was out doing her own thing, and the son was causing chaos and whatnot. What they did in Indiana Jones, and I don't think this is much of a spoiler, is I was thinking like, what are they gonna do about the Shia LaBeouf character from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, who was they revealed in that movie was Indiana Jones's son, with the character Marion Ravenwood. Well, they tell you in this movie that his son went off to war and died in the war, and that caused him and Marion to get a divorce. And it's like now he's living on his own like a hermit type thing. And it's like wait, so both Han Solo, Indiana Jones had either had a marital problems because of a son. One died and the other one basically died.
Right.
And he lost his marriage, broke up over that. It's like somebody really hates Harrison Ford. It's like
Kind of feels that way.
they can't make his characters have a happy ending. Um, so that stuff aside, like the main thing that they introduce in this one is they introduce a new character played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I think is her name. I don't remember what the hell her character's name was, but she's clearly meant to be his sidekick in this. And the people that made this movie clearly wanted her to be the main character. And much like you were saying about the Transformers stuff just a little bit ago, Indiana Jones most of the time feels like a side character in his own movie. Where he's not coming up with a lot of the solutions. He's kind of running around like an old man tagging along for the ride. There are some instances where he does things that it feels a bit Indiana Jones, but it's like, and they constantly have to remind us how old he is. Of course, they can't just have him do things. It's I don't know. I just felt like they just showed no respect for the character. So and it kind of I won't say it kind of ruined the experience a little bit, because in the moment I kind of enjoyed most of the movie, even though I think it was too heavily reliant on digital effects and everything. There was a really cool chase scene through a parade scene in New York City at one point. I thought that was kind of cool. But here's the problem with the age part, is that another problem with it is that they realize Harrison Ford cannot do a whole lot that's believable in an action scene now, because he's in his mid 80s or something like that. So they're like, okay, well, what kind of action scenes can we have him do? Well, we can do chase scenes. He'll be okay because he needs to ride something. So we
Right.
have like 3 separate chase scenes in this movie for the action scenes because he can't do anything else.
Oh man.
And the middle one that happens, I think, in Morocco is super long, and it's like, why? Like you could actually say that this movie has too much action in it, and it might be okay if the action was interesting or neat, but a lot of it you just sit there and start looking at your watch after a while. Like this movie probably could have been cut down by a full hour, because I think it was like over 2.5 hours long. It could have been cut down by a full hour, and they could have tightened up those action scenes a bit more and focused more on the exploration and the archaeology part, which is what everybody usually likes about Indiana Jones.
Right.
Not so much him running around chasing people. It's like, that stuff is fun, but it shouldn't be the point of the movie.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
um, I will say that, okay, so go back to the Phoebe Waller-Bridge character. She was intolerable. She's a terrible person, the character. And they tried to give her a redemption arc later on, because she treats Indy like crap through the whole movie. It's like, that's what I want. I want a sidekick character that treats my beloved main character like crap the entire time. That will make her endearing to me. I don't know what they were thinking. Um, the movie, though, it does redeem itself in its final act a little bit, because I haven't mentioned exactly what the Dial of Destiny does. Like the theory in the movie is that it's a time traveling thing, is what it does. And they do something at the end of this movie that almost redeems all of the crap before it. Like if it's like they had to basically jump the shark here in order for this movie to be memorable in any shape or form by the end of this movie. And they jump the shark in such a glorious fashion. It gets so absurd and so dumb that it becomes incredibly entertaining. Far more than anything that happened elsewhere in the movie. I won't ruin what it happens, but it's like if you have an inkling of like what might happen, especially while you're watching, you're like, are they really gonna maybe do this? Yes, they do it, and it's amazing. So they almost kind of redeem themselves at the end, but ultimately, this movie it's going to be forgotten. Most people are not even going to remember this movie. It's not the type of like bad where it's like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. People point to that and be like, "Oh, that movie was terrible." Because, but I remember this scene because of how bad it was, or I remember this scene because of how cool it was. This movie really doesn't have that. Maybe the ending scene, maybe, but everything else in this movie is so forgettable. Everything. It's really unfortunate that they chose this as his final adventure because they're not unless we get full on digital Harrison Ford, we're not getting another Indiana Jones movie, which is really sad. So, um, I mean, you can make the argument we should never have these last two, and I think we would have been fine. So yeah, I would I recommend it? I don't think so. Actually, I don't. It might be worth. Is it worth 2.5 hours to get like to a 20-minute really batshit crazy scene that you might find entertaining? Maybe not. I don't know. I don't think so. But if you're curious, at least know that you're gonna have a really. The movie ends on a really high note. At the
There you
very
go.
least. At the very least, you're working towards something neat.
Most movies fall flat in the end.
Yeah, exactly. This movie falls flat until the end. So yeah, yeah, I don't know. I don't have much more to say about it beyond that. So
That's about what was expected, I suppose, right?
I guess I mean everybody was skeptical because they're like an Indiana Jones movie where he's like he's pushing 90. Like really, Indiana Jones? No, no. Like what the hell could they do? And everybody was hoping that they would do something that would work, and they weren't unable to do it.
Yeah, I feel like it should have centered around some kind of I don't know, like an artifact, like you said, exploration, where in the end he has to grab or touch the artifact, and that entombs him or something. But then it allows a new character to survive, so they can pass the torch to somebody else, and kind
And,
of it's that they're down in a the like the chalice in the first one. That
yeah,
kind of thing where he has to do that to save somebody else, and now he's officially gone, so you can move on with
and,
a new character.
and they set that up with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull with the Shia
Yeah,
LaBeouf character. Like they
right.
set it up like if there was anybody they're going to pass the torch to. Well, I didn't really think that Shia LaBeouf would be a good person to take the mantle.
Well, instead of
It,
an indie hat, he could have a paper bag on his head.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd
Jeez.
be perfect. Come on.
Um, yeah, yeah. It's I keep going back to that immortal line from our favorite character, Kylo Ren in Last Jedi. Let the past die. You know,
Yep.
it's like Disney and all these other companies that are resurrecting these franchises. Just let it go.
Which
Let
is
it
fine.
go.
You can resurrect stuff, but make it new. Don't bring the Star Wars 7, 8, 9 in and try to bring all the original trilogy cast back. Bring a new story. You can reference them and say, "Oh, it's been 50 years since Luke did that thing that he did in a thing."
Well, have
But
you not to derail too much, but you just reminded me of it by saying that. Have you heard the rumors that like Lucas was thinking about rebuying back Lucasfilm?
no. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a bit late now, but
it's heavily in the rumor category, but some people I think this is more like wish fulfillment rumor than
I
actual based in reality, or because part of the rumor was like he's going to buy it back and he's going to make his 7, 8, and 9s.
now here's the problem I've got with that. And this is to all y'all out there, all you people. Some people never stopped liking George Lucas. You can't come crawling back now. I'm sorry. Go away. Go away.
Yeah,
When everybody was bashing me for liking episodes 1, 2, and 3, every time I mentioned it, people would get in arguments with me. Oh, George Lucas is an idiot. I hate him. I hope he dies. for what he did to Star Wars. And now it's like 7, 8, 9 come back, and people are like, oh my God, I love the prequels. Oh, what? George Lucas is thinking of buying Lucasfilm. This is great. Maybe he'll do the right thing finally with it.
And then
I'm like, what?
and
Where?
even if he bought it and he made his own 7, 8, and 9, people are like, I hate George Lucas.
Yeah, right. No, I'm sorry. You can't come back crawling to me now. You're all dead to me. I'm sorry. Where were you? Like the last 20 years of my life.
Like this is the epitome of the raging fan that will never be
God.
appeased. Never.
Exactly. Yes. Pretty
You'll
much.
never get what you want. Never.
No. If he comes back, please get rid of Colleen Kennedy.
Oh yeah.
Give her a box the
Well,
very first day.
she's responsible for the new Indiana Jones movie too.
Oh God.
Like she has single handedly destroyed everything that Lucas built.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's incredible what the damage that she's done.
We need a Twitter moment where Lucas buys it back and just says, "You are all gone. Get out of my sight. I'm getting rid of all management, everything." You know, Favreau, you guys, you're all going to be promoted. It's, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, Indiana Jones done, over with, and gone. So it, I believe that there's only three Indiana Jones movies, and yeah, and each one of these ones they keep putting out just makes Temple of Doom get higher and higher on the list. It used to be the bottom one, but now it's the third one.
Right. Maybe we could get Filoni and Favreau to do Indiana Jones for us. Maybe they can do everything.
I mean, their last gasp of hope is this Ahsoka series.
Oh
Like,
man, the trailer for that, I'm already out.
Like if this thing becomes instant garbage, like most people are thinking it's going to be, I think most Star Wars faithful are going to be basically jumping ship at that point. So
I still believe in my boys, the dynamic duo. I think it's somebody else that's destroying these franchises.
Oh yeah, well, the creatives, the ones behind the camera, are oftentimes not responsible.
Right.
I mean, you could probably lay some responsibility at them for certain decisions that are made, for sure, but the overarching issues that we've seen with the franchise in general, that's all coming from one place. So.
Her High Highness's chair.
Yeah, just like any of the problems that Marvel's having right now, you throw those out like Kevin Feige. Like he was praised for everything he did during phases 1, 2, and 3 of Marvel, and he deserved it. But he also deserves all of the crap he's getting for phases 4 and 5.
Well, I wonder if it's also because he's just, what do I do? They want me to keep making movies, and I don't know what to do anymore.
Yeah.
He's forced. Somebody says, we need phase 4, 5, and we're going to go up to phase 20.
Yeah, exactly.
And he just sits there and goes, I don't have any characters left. What? There's no stories. I don't care. Get it done. Yeah.
Recasting time.
Yeah, but to put a finer point on that, the people are going to have a lot of rude awakenings to what Star Wars Rebels is. Because I watched the Ahsoka trailer, and I was coming into that blind and cold. And I saw some of the characters. I'm like, wait a minute. Is that? Oh no. Oh God. Yep, that's her. Oh Jesus, they're going with that. Oh my God, this is all Star Wars Rebels. It's all Rebels. I'm like, oh no.
Wow.
That's the direction they're taking Ahsoka. They're even bringing the Ghost.
She wasn't even a main character in that.
I would say she kind of became one.
Yeah.
They put Ahsoka everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, not main character, no. But yeah, they brought her in as like, oh, hey, Ahsoka's here. We're going to have her part of the team, kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Rebels? Is it going to tie into Resistance, too? Are we going there?
I